The US-Iran war is about to cause a catastrophe in the housing market. And a lot of people would like actually to see house prices to finally crash, because a lot of people are actually waiting for that. Finally, you will be able to buy that house. But when I say a housing catastrophe, I don't mean house prices are going to crash, but the absolute opposite. The US-Iran war is going to lead to some of the highest hikes in house prices in decades. And this is not an exaggeration at all. So house prices are not going to collapse anytime soon. At the same time, it is going to lead to really high mortgage rates. Now, if you look at the mortgage rates over the last 3 to 4 years, they've been actually coming down since 2022. But now they will go back to 7%, 8%, maybe even 9% if this war is going to get out of control. Now, some people will not believe that because they are like, look at house prices, nobody can afford them. So if there is no demand for these houses, who is going to buy them? And that means that this artificially high demand created by the Fed in 2020 and 2021 should come an end. Unfortunately, that's not happening. On one side, house prices will rise because the cost of materials are going to rise. The war with Iran has actually caused a shortage of materials across the globe. Because energy prices have risen dramatically, because global seas are no more secure, it means that a lot of materials that the United States imports from the rest of the world just to be able to buy these houses, and I'm talking about copper, aluminium, and whatever else is used in building these houses, there is going to be a shortage of them, which means that their prices are going to rise. And if that happens, it's not difficult to come to the conclusion that house prices will rise. Now, over the last 3 years, house prices slightly decreased. So that gave hope to people that finally maybe house prices will come to a sustainable level. But this trajectory is over, and house prices this year and next year most likely are going to rise. It has also increased the shipping cost. All of these factors makes it a lot more difficult to build houses. So if you're a developer in the US, you're going to struggle. If you're going to get out of business, that means that there is going to be less construction, which will lead to a less supply of houses. And if demand is going to stay the same, then it's not difficult to understand why house prices will rise. But this is just one part of the problem. A more difficult problem is that mortgage rates. If you look at mortgage rates have been coming down over the last few years. But here's the problem. Most people don't actually understand who actually determines their mortgage rates. They think that they go to the bank and the bank out of nowhere decides what is going to be your mortgage rate. Or some people think that it is the Federal Reserve that sets the mortgage rate. That's why everybody was eagerly waiting for the Federal Reserve to bring down mortgage rates so that American people will be able to afford houses finally. Have you seen those mortgage rates? At their peak, they were like more than 8% if I'm not mistaken. At that rate, on one side you have high house prices, on the other side you have high mortgage rates. How can you expect the average person to buy a house? But the Federal Reserve has lowered down interest rates to about 3.5%. Mortgage rates, first of all, didn't come down to 3.5%. And secondly, mortgage rates are about to explode. Now, to understand who sets your mortgage rates, you have to understand the debt market. So this is one of the major markets. On one side, we have a debt market where investors invest in debt. So they loan money and then they're expected to get that money back plus the interest that debt is going to pay them. On the other side, we have an equity market or the stock market. This is when you're investing in a business. So when you're buying a piece of a business and that business succeeds and increases by 1,000%, then you are going to make a lot of money. But it's slightly riskier because if that business fails, then congratulations, you lost all of your money. So in the debt market, we have different kind of debts. We have auto loans, corporate loans, government bonds, and mortgage rates. And these investors from all sides are looking at all of these kind of debts. So the more there is demand for these debts, the lower is going to be the interest rate. The less demand there is by investors for these kind of debts, then the higher is going to be the interest rates. But not all of these debts are equal. Every single investment is actually being treated through risk and reward. Imagine you have two friends who will come to you and ask you for a small loan of $1 million. One of them is financially disciplined, he has assets, he has a house, and he has a stable job. On the other side, you have a friend who is renting, who barely pays that rent, who is not financially responsible, and you know that he has really bad habits, such as going to Las Vegas. Who do you think is more likely to pay you back that loan? Of course, the first friend who is financially responsible. So if you are going to charge them interest for that loan, you will charge the first friend a lower interest rate than the second friend because the chances of the first friend to default is much lower than the second friend. And that's the lens that investors look at any kind of asset or any kind of investment, especially debt. So if you look at the entire debt market, what is the safest investment in the debt market? That is loaning your money to the US government. Because the US government can always pay you back for multiple reasons. First of all, the US government can always print money out of nowhere. So if the US government can print money, then they can print money to pay you back. So the chances of the US government defaulting on the loan is extremely small. Now, secondly, the US government has over 100 million taxpayers. And that means that the government can always raise taxes to pay you back. So we consider loaning money to the US government as a risk-free debt. So it is going to have the lowest interest rate. The second type of an investment is a mortgage-backed security. This is where your mortgage comes to. So the bank that is offering you a mortgage often takes all of these mortgages and then sell them to investors. They don't actually sell individual mortgages. They usually take like 1,000 mortgages, bundle them together under one joint security, and then sell them to a hedge fund, to an ETF, or maybe even to a pension fund, or maybe even to an individual investor. So now think for a moment. What should be the interest rate on these mortgage-backed securities? So mortgage-backed securities are competing with government bonds in the market. Since this is the safest investment in the market, then mortgage-backed securities should offer a slightly higher interest rate. Otherwise, what is the motivation that investors have to invest in mortgage-backed securities than government bonds? Yes, houses are safe. Yes, these securities are being backed by a real house that can be sold. Yes, you put a down payment to buy that house. So if you are going to default on that loan, you will lose your down payment and you're going to lose that house. So investors will be paid back. But why go through that hassle when I can simply just loan that money to the US government? Which is why mortgage-backed securities always have a slightly higher interest rate than government bonds. Then we have corporate bonds. This is when you're loaning your money to corporations. Corporations take money just like the government, and they will pay you back plus interest. And there are different kinds of corporations with different level of risks. Loaning your money to Google that makes over $400 billion in revenue and over $100 billion net profit is much safer than to unknown business that can go bankrupt the next day. But overall, they are considered slightly more riskier than houses because worst case scenario, your house can be sold, you will lose your down payment, and the investor is safe. Another kind of debt investment we have is auto loan. This is where banks will take all of these auto loans, will turn them into the exact same security, and they will sell them to investors. Now, auto loans always have a much higher interest rate than mortgages. Why? Think about it for a moment. The moment you buy the car and the car leaves the dealership, what happens to the price of that car? It instantly loses 10 to 15% of its value. 3 years down the road, the car has lost 50% of its value. So unlike a house, the car tends to lose its value, which means that it is much more riskier, which is why auto loans always have a much higher interest rate. So if you're an investor with a lot of money and you're looking to invest in debts, then you're going to accept the lowest rate from government bonds and the highest rate from auto loans. Because if the government bond will offer you, let's say 3%, then auto loans will offer you 3%, then what's your motivation to invest in auto loans? Because they will offer you the exact same rate as the government bonds, but auto loans are riskier. The same thing with mortgage-backed securities. So if government government bonds are offering you 3%, then mortgage-backed securities can offer you 4%, corporate bonds maybe 5%, and then auto loans are 6%. This is just a hypothetical example just to show you how the system works. So the government bonds essentially set the baseline for the debt market. So let's simply take a look at what are the yields on the US government debt. Currently, the 30-year government bonds have 5% yields. That means that the mortgage-backed securities or mortgage rates should be at least 6% or maybe slightly higher than that. So for us to be able to predict what will be the mortgage rates, all we have to do is to understand where the US government yields are going to be a year from now. If they are going to rise, then we can expect mortgage rates to rise. Because if the yields on the US government will rise, we cannot possibly have lower mortgage rates. That is basically the basic logic and how the system usually works. That's why if you look at the mortgage rates recently, they've actually spiked from about 6% to 6.4%. So the higher the yields on the US government bonds are going to rise, the higher mortgage-backed securities are going to rise, the higher is going to be your mortgage. So here are all the reasons why yields on the US government bonds will rise, aka why mortgage rates will rise. First of all, the United States started a major war with Iran, and the US government will have to raise a lot of money to fight this war. Now, this war is entirely funded with debt. The US government is not raising taxes on you to fight the war with Iran. So essentially, on one side, the money is free, but there is no such thing as a free money. You are going to pay that a bit later. So for now, the US government is going to borrow a lot of money. And when the US government is borrowing money, it is selling more US treasuries. Now, how do we determine what is going to be the yields on the US treasuries? If there are more US treasuries chasing very little demand, then the US government will have to offer a higher yield to raise more money. So we know that the government will need a lot more money to fund this war, which means that the yields on the US government debt will rise, which means that your mortgage is going to rise. Secondly, high energy prices and high shipping costs is going to lead to high inflation, which is going to lead to high interest rates. The job of the Federal Reserve to control inflation. But now energy prices didn't just double, they're about to triple, and in a month or two from now, they might even quadruple. That means that the cost of everything in the economy is going to rise, which means that the Federal Reserve will have to increase interest rates. When that happens, the cost of borrowing money is going to be much more expensive for the government and everyone else in the market. And that means that if the yields on the US government will rise to 6%, then your mortgage will be at least 7% or 7.5%. If the yields on the US government will rise to 6%, then you can expect your mortgage rate to rise to as high as 8% to 8.5%. Thirdly, this war might be the end of petrodollar. Petrodollar was the mechanism that the US government used to create artificial demand for the US treasuries. So because the entire world needs to buy oil, and oil is exclusively sold in the US dollar, everybody was buying US treasuries. Now, higher demand for the US treasuries means lower yields. Lower yields means lower mortgage rates for you. Now, if this war will lead to the end of petrodollar, that means that less demand for the US treasuries. That means that higher yields means that you will have a much higher mortgage rate. Fourthly, there is a shortage of buyers for the US debt as the size of the debt spirals. For the first time since World War II, the US debt is on unsustainable level. Literally, the size of the entire US debt is much larger than the size of the US economy. And the US economy is the world's largest economy. It basically means that there isn't enough wealth in the world to loan money to the US government. Who the government is going to borrow that money from? From Japan, whose GDP is $4 trillion and it's already the world's largest holder of the US debt. From China, who doesn't trust the United States after the tariff war and the war with Iran. Or Europe, that is barely surviving and needs to spend that money on itself. So if there is no demand for the US treasuries, again, the US government will have to hike the yields on the debt, which means that the mortgage rates on you is going to rise. Foreign nations are selling US treasuries to support their own economies. So because there is a shortage of oil in the market and these countries are going to go through serious recessions, and that means the UK, the European Union, and Japan, they will start selling their US treasuries to be able to support their own economies. As oil prices rise and they need to buy more oil, it means that they have to sell even more US treasuries to buy that oil or the exact same amount of oil, since oil prices are about to triple. That means that if they are selling their US treasuries, the yields on the US debt will spike. That means that mortgage rates will spike. And there isn't a clear sign when this war is going to end, and no one knows what the world is going to look like when the war is over. Will this war be over in 2 weeks from now? Well, of course not. If the United States will send ground invasion, then we know for a fact that this war can actually continue until the end of the year, maybe the end of the next year. And because there isn't a clear sign when this war is going to be over, no one is going to loan the US government so much money because there isn't so much wealth to begin with. And inflation will stay high, which will force the Fed to keep hiking interest rates to battle that inflation. So essentially, the war with Iran is putting the United States in a situation where the yields on the US government will spike. And that means that mortgage rates will continue rising. And that is the financial catastrophe or a housing catastrophe that is waiting for the United States. And that's really bad news for a lot of people, because a lot of people were waiting for house prices to crash or mortgage rates to come down to be able to buy a house. And now, unfortunately, that's not happening. Not this year, not the second year. But there is one solution. If you're unable to save for a house, then the best option for you is going to be to go to the stock market first. Because if you invest $10,000 in the stock market, that $10,000 can turn into $100,000, $500,000. And then you can use that money as a down payment or just use it just to buy a house. $10,000 in some of these stocks 5 years ago would have easily turned today into a few $100,000. So if you want a step-by-step strategy on how to start investing, and if you want to know what are the best investments you should be buying right now, then join the Investing Academy. The link is in the description of this video.